Hi, my name is Don D. Decker. This video is a walkthrough and demonstration of the portal module in FoodBank Manager. Now, we wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to actually do it as well if you chose. So we have built something very nice in our features page for this. So to get there, we're going to go to Features up at the top here. Then we're going to go to Online Reservations and Ordering. In this page, we have some information regarding what this module can do for you. But what we want to show you is we have this link right here, which is where you can start a demo reservation. Now, the demo reservation is not a real one. Well, technically you are making a real reservation, but you're making a reservation in a demo database. So if you're thinking you're going to be able to get food, stop now, because you're going to see stuff, you're going to make an appointment, but you're not going to know where to go or what to do, because this is not real. This is just for allowing you to try it out and see what you think. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and click Start a Demo Reservation. This is going to take me to Terry's Food Pantry. Terry's Food Pantry is a demo database. In fact, you'll see this database in several of our videos that are on this website. And we have two options, food and we have clothing. Now, we named these a little different just to get a feel for what we're trying to do here, because these are the different services that someone is wanting. So maybe they want food, maybe you'll have TFAP, maybe you'll have financial assistance, rent or electric assistance, that kind of thing. Now, these help desired boxes here for food and clothing, there's labels you can put, and these labels are customizable, just like we see pretty clothing label customizable. It could just say clothing if you want, but you could do clothing closet or whatever you would like to see as the main label. Same thing with food. Maybe you want to do USDA foods for TFAP or TFAP food. Totally up to you. Now below that is a little blurb regarding what's going on. In fact, under food it says this is a forward-facing message to those using your portal. It is customizable so you can control what your guests see. And this is also a way to communicate with the guests regarding this particular help desired. Same thing with pretty clothing label or the clothing box. Additional clothing info is needed for your clients, customizable. Now, granted, you're not going to have that language. You'll have language that meets the needs of what you're trying to portray to your guests as they're using this system. Now, another section which we skipped over is the welcome section. This technically is just a web page or a landing page you craft and create. This is totally up to you. You build in here what you need. You have to have something. In fact, this will actually happen in Terry's Food Pantry, or if you're doing this in your food pantry. So what you would do is you would go to, in this case, I'll go to Terry's Food Pantry, and I'll go to Settings Portal, and then scroll down to the bottom, and here's that welcome message. So the word welcome, and then this information that we saw. Now you can add other things too, like columns, dividers, headers, text, social, content blocks, body. You can do a lot of different things building this out so that when your clients come here, they're going to be able to read and understand what they're doing. So you may have in here parking instructions, or make sure you do this or that. Bring this with you because this is required. That kind of information to help make sure that you're communicating with your guests properly, and then you won't have a lot of trouble when they're coming in and they either didn't read it or you didn't have it on there to let them know. So make sure you do this accordingly. And then once you hit save, that'll be your landing page. Now this landing page is simple, as you can see here. This is what it looks like. Now I have these two available distributions here that I can work with. Now technically they're not a distribution yet. They're just the service that I'm looking to receive. So if I'm looking for food, I'll click it, and then service times and dates will pop up. Now, when I'm looking at which day I want to come, so right now I have the 26th available. Today's the 21st. I have the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. So let's say I want to come on the 26th. So what I'll do is I'll do my drop down, and you're going to see the day divided into smaller increments. In fact, these are all, looks like 10-minute increments. And this is between 10 and 12. And so now it breaks it into these different periods in which I would come. Now, each period has a limit of 5 households. So if the 10 o'clock one is filled, then it would show 0 or grayed out. And then all the others that would have some in here would show the reduced number. In this case, no one is in them. As you play with this yourself, you might find some to where there's maybe 4 or 3 available still in that time slot for that day. So what you'll do is you'll choose that day that you're looking for. And then at the bottom down here, there's a continue. But before I click that, if I wanted to make an appointment on a day in the future, I could do show more, and it will show me more available distributions that I could look to come to. And they're all going to be the same. None of them will be different because they're really the same distribution, just on different days that is available. So I'm going to go ahead and I have this one selected for the 26th, and I'm going to continue. Now, what you see here is I have 2 options. If you're new, you're going to want to create an account. If you're not, then you can log in with an existing account. Now, I'm going to show you the process if you're new, because just clicking here and putting in your credentials is easy. But if you have to create the process of creating a brand new account, you might as well get to see it now. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my email, Don Plus, and I've done this so many times, I got to make sure that I have one that's unique for the system. So I'm going to do Don Plus demo, and I think I can do 2, and then I'm just going to do my rest of my email like normal. Now, you would probably not have that. You would just probably have your email like don@soxboxsoftware.com. I'm just doing this to make it a unique one, but it would still go to my email account. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my password for my use. I'm going to confirm that password. So you're basically typing in the same password twice. And then you got to tell it you're not a robot. I'm not a robot. So then I'll submit. Now, hopefully it doesn't pop up the pictures, but if it does, I apologize. Now, once you submit, you have to create your account. So it says your account is created. Well, technically, we need to fill it in. Now you need to fill out your profile as you know, to continue. So you can see my emails here. So you can have a login and a contact email. You put in your first name, last name, and then you can either do 2 choices here. If you don't want to give your address, or they're not required to, or however that works, or maybe they are technically without an address, you could say no, and that will actually hide the address fields. If you say yes, then the address fields will be here. So I'm going to go ahead and do put in an address, put in your city, your state, and my zip code. County is optional. Maybe I could put my county in if I wanted. And then a contact number. It will require at least 1 number. So at least 1 is required. So I'm going to do my home phone. And then the last thing you have to do that is required is how many people in your home. You can do the increment here up and down to get it, but let's say there's 2 people in my home, or you could just highlight it and then put in a number. I'll say there's 4. And then I'll continue. This will take me immediately into the actual food order. So I've already made my reservation appointment on that day and time. Because I have a pick list or a food order that's told to show, then I go ahead and pick my foods. These aren't showing because I'm running in my development box, but normally you would see the pictures of eggs and things like that. Now, to show you what we're pulling up is I'm going to go into Terry's Pantry, and I'm going to go to Manage and then Reservations, and I'm going to go here to the pick lists. These are the 3 pick lists for food that you're looking at. So the first one's online food ordered list, then produce, and then canned fruits and veggies. And I have a priority of 1, 2, and 3. The priority means that 1 is going to be on top, 2 will be next, and 3 will be third. If you have 2 of 1, like 1, 1, 3, then these 2 would likely go one, or the other would go on top, maybe alphabetically. I'm not really sure. But if you want to control which one shows first, set the priority accordingly. And if we view any of these, you're going to see the pictures like I showed. And let's go to a desktop. And this would be what you would see as well online normally when you do this. All right, let's go back to my order. So I do have some limits here based on household size. So I have 8 people. I have eight items that I can get for this food online order list. I can do 3 dairy, 3 protein, and 2 breads. And there's a max of 2 for any of these items. So I could do 2 eggs. That does remove 2 here, and it removes 2 as well in the protein section. So I have one more things I could do. I could say, well, I want some ground beef as well. Now I'm down to 5. So let's say I want a gallon of milk, 2, and then a block of cheese. I have 2 more, and then I could do 2 breads. Now, if I wanted to communicate with you and say, hey, if you're out of ground beef, substitute a chicken. If you don't have 2 dozen eggs, then give me an extra ground beef, that kind of thinking, you would just type that in here. Now, the protein or the produce miscellaneous, this is all about not actually doing like carrots, lettuce, potatoes, and having all these items in here. You can do that, and some people do for sure. But if you don't want to hassle with, since you don't always have certain staple type of vegetables always available, then maybe you would want to do more of a miscellaneous option. And then that's one of the reasons why I changed this language down here for the communication box. So here I said type in the produce items you would prefer. If available, we will select those. Otherwise, we will provide what we have available. So maybe I would choose I want 2 of these, and I'm going to say, if you have potatoes, or if you have potatoes, and then let's say corn. Maybe you have those 2 things. And I need to spell potatoes correctly. So that kind of thing. Now, if I don't have potatoes or corn, then I'll just substitute accordingly, like I explained right here. Now, same thing with canned fruits and veggies. I'm not going to go through it, but I think what I will show is the different colors that you see. So this is our traffic light nutrition indicator, and we've done another video regarding our reservation system that's also on this page if this is where you started this demo from. And we talk a lot about this, but basically this is go, slow for yellow, and then red is whoa. Only meaning that, don't load up on all the sweets, just get some green and yellow. Like here I have 3 options. Maybe I would get not all yellow. I don't know if refried beans are, but I marked them that way to show. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do less of that and maybe get a couple green beans. So green beans and 2 greens and a yellow, just to kind of balance things out. We like jelly beans, and I like fruit cocktail, and I'm done. Now, if I wanted more canned fruits, even though my cart says 0, canned fruit still gives me 2. So if I really wanted another, like a peaches, maybe I could sacrifice the jelly beans, right? It's up to you. It's up to them, technically. But at least you can see how this is working. So you can set these limits in here so that people will be able to pick foods based on what they want, but along the lines of the same quantities you would normally give. Maybe the difference here would be as they're picking the items versus just canned fruits, canned veggies. So you would actually try to find a fruit cocktail or peaches if you have it available. Once again, they're going to have ability to communicate with you here, and then they're going to agree and confirm their reservation. Now, a couple things to show on this. The first thing is that it shows you the date and time you're supposed to be there. It tells you what service it is, it's food, and what your order list is. We also know it's approved. Now, if your order goes into a pending status, and you control how this works, you would be able to go back into manage your order and then adjust your order if you want. If you're in an approved status, you can't. So if you do want to do that, you have a couple options. Like you can call your agency. So contact your agency here. So you can call the phone number, email, that kind of stuff. And say, hey, can you toggle me to pending so I can test that? It's also up here as well, as you can see. And it also shows a map of where the agency is, and it's up here. Just be aware, so this will help you communicate with your guests. So if they need to contact you regarding a question, then they will be able to. Now, up here in the top right is the barcode, 5802. This is not a barcode for the client. This is actually a barcode for this reservation. And when we had COVID, if you remember, wasn't that long ago, and you had all these limits, like they couldn't come into the building, they couldn't sit in your waiting room, they couldn't go into the warehouse. You had to stand 6 feet away from everybody, that kind of thing. So there was a lot of people would just drive up, talk through the window or whatever, and then you would just put the food in the trunk. Well, this is kind of similar, but the difference being here is that this makes it easier for you to do that recall. And if we are in a situation like COVID, they could just show you their phone and you would just scan that barcode. Once you do that, that reservation would pop up, and then you process their visit and then have their food probably already pre-packed. You see they're there, and you just bring it out and put it in their trunk, and off they go. So you can run a fairly fast drive-through, especially in a situation like that. And a nice thing, too, is if you're doing dates and times, time periods and number of households, you're not going to have everyone showing up at 7 o'clock in the morning for an 8 o'clock distribution and then just having cars ringing around the block and all your neighbors hating you, right? So what you want to do is if everyone comes at their time, there's always going to be a lower line or open parking spots or smaller waiting rooms that they can sit in so that there'll be available space. So it's great to be able to spread people out like that. Now, I also have an option of canceling this reservation as a guest, because this is what the guests would do, not what you would do. So if I canceled, it would all go away, and that's it. Now, if I want to go to my dashboard and let's say I have two things to see here. Now, I can do my email verification. I'll walk through that next. But if you look up here, I have my reservations, and here it is, November 26th at 10. And this is with Terry's Food Pantry, and it's been approved. If I view it, it just takes me right back where I was at. If I go to the dashboard, I can make a new reservation for Terry's Food Pantry. So now how a client would do that is once they've disseminated that URL that they need from you for your portal, which you'll actually find here, once again, back in the portal section. So if I go to settings portal, this URL that's created from this data right here, to get this started, you'd have to have this available, probably in your own church website, maybe in your food pantry area. And it's like, hey, would you like to come make an appointment, and put a button there. When they click the button, it would do the exact same thing like I have here. Here's my button, start a demo reservation. Like, hey, come to my pantry, make a reservation. This is easy to do. And click the button to the right. There it is, right? That's what you would do. So once they click that, they're going to go right into this portal process. Exactly the way we did it. If they're brand new, then they'll create an account. If they're not, they'll just log in. Now, let's say I want to make another appointment, and I want to come now for clothing, because maybe you don't offer it at the same time. Today's the 21st, but there is some stuff available for the 26th or 22nd, which is tomorrow. So I'm going to grab the 9 a.m. As you can see, this is 8 to 12, and we did 15-minute increments in this one. So these are all very customizable the way you want. And here's that label I was telling you about. Pretty clothing label, customizable. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, agree and confirm. Now, this one took me directly to the final stage where this is showing my reservation is done. Now, I had the same thing. I have my barcode. I have my date and time, what I'm coming in for, that it was approved, and I have the option of canceling. But there was no order for clothing. That's because this way it's just showing you if they're just making the appointment and that's it, this is what it looks like. If you do have a pick list that you're telling to turn on and show them or let them pick their items, then they would have that step. But in this case, food had a pick list, but clothing doesn't. So that's where you're seeing the two different styles. So that's it. It's really simple. If I go back to my dashboard, I'll see my two different ones. Here's my weekly clothing, day and time that I'm supposed to come, which is tomorrow. And then at 26, I'll be coming back for my food when the food pantry is open. And if I ever want to cancel these, I would just simply view it, cancel it this way. I'm going to go ahead and log out, and that was it. It's very, very simple and easy to use. The one thing I want to show you is if I go back to Terry's Food Pantry and go back to reservations, and I look at the pick list, you can see I have 3 food, but I don't have any clothing ones built. So that's why there was no clothing showing. Now I'll also see my upcoming reservations. So now those 2 reservations I made, you'll see these right here. So you'll see my 10 o'clock for the 26th and for the 22nd, my 9 a.m. both made by Donnie Decker, both are approved. They come in through the portal, so there's a barcode. And as well, I know they're coming in for food on this day and clothing for that day. Now, when today becomes the 22nd, then they'll show in the today's reservations box. And because they're upcoming tomorrow, maybe I need to do a query really quick, and this is just kind of walking through a little bit of the reservation side. So maybe I want to look at all approved, and I want to see all approved for tomorrow, and it's just going to give me that list once I hit search. Now I can print this out, I can export it, whatever I want to do, or print it, and then I'm going to get all the information I need to maybe prepare for these people coming tomorrow. So that's the kind of purpose of the way this is laid out. But do watch the reservation video. It goes through all of this in much, much more detail. Well, thank you very much. If you'd like a demonstration, please let me know. Otherwise, you all have a fantastic day.